I first came out, I volunteered for Blockorama. And there were years where initially we were at the stage at Wellesley Station across from Wellesley Station in that parking lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one year out of the blue, saying nothing to the group that was running Blockorama, we got moved to the parking lot behind the beer store, which
Oh,
as most people know, the crowd that comes out to Blockorama in
it's
no way,
huge.
shape, or form can
Yeah, it's
safely,
huge.
right? It cannot safely exist in that small parking lot. It can't.
Yeah,
And
I
what was
understand.
happening? Injuries happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard for paramedics to even get in. And as well, Blockorama being a space that was geared as a family-oriented space, they never sold alcohol. That was never a
Mm-hmm.
thing. So to put Blockorama in a space behind a beer store wasn't exactly it didn't work with what Blockorama's mission was and what their intents were, right? And then
Okay.
got moved to another parquet after the year after that, and
Mm-hmm.
consistently moved instead of finding a way to actually sit down and work with the people that run Blockorama. They didn't say anything. They would just move people left, right, and center. So I think part of what BLM was trying to do was to have everybody be able to actually sit at the same table and discuss. Is the way that they went about it the right way? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But
Okay.
what it was a way that historically a lot of groups have used in order to get their message across. Regardless of where it is in the world, a lot of groups have done that, right?
So I have two questions. I'm going to try to put them, hopefully I get them in the right order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why not target the companies themselves? Why target the celebration of Pride? Why do
Mm.
you think they targeted the celebration instead of this? TDs are on every corner.
Mm-hmm.
These different places that support Pride are on every corner. Why not target their businesses? Why target the celebration of Pride?
I think I think a part of the reason as to why the choice was to target Pride specifically, and I could be wrong because I'm not part of BLM, but I
Okay.
think a part of the reason is because of the fact that Pride in and of itself is meant to serve the community, right?
Okay.
And in a way that corporations are not equipped to, and were never set up to, right? Pride was set up as a community thing. It was the community that started Pride. So I think it's a way of reminding Pride to get back to how they started and it being a community-centered thing and focused on community and less about necessarily a lot of financial support that they might get from corporations. It's still important to encourage the community to still be involved and speak out on behalf of the community, because the reality is that Pride in and of itself is what people look at first. The rest of the world doesn't look at Blockorama. The rest of the world
Mhm.
doesn't look at the South Asian stage. The rest of the world looks at Pride,
Okay.
right? That's how
Hmm.
people see it. They look at Pride. That's the reality of it, right? So
Okay.
Pride for people speaks for everything.
All right. Now, for me, the I'm going to ask you this question. I don't want to give my opinion because my opinion is not relevant in our conversation for it now. But it's your opinion that it's really I I have more understanding from your point of view. Now, do you think that Black Lives Matter accomplished anything besides media attention from hijacking Pride?
I think they did accomplish actually a great deal. Out of and I can't recall offhand all of the points on their list of what they wanted to accomplish, but they
Mm-hmm.
accomplished quite a number of things. A big thing for the community, for a lot of people in the community, was the existence of police presence. And the reality is that historically, the police and the queer community have not always had the best relationship,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But historically, that's been the case. Whether it's through raids on bathhouses, whether it's through, personal opinions of some people who have been part of the police force over the years towards gay people, even so much as recently with this unfortunate situation where there was a serial killer that was targeting people in the community, the initial response from the police was not something that people felt supported by the police, right? In that way. So if an entire community is saying to you, hey, this is our concern, and your job is to serve and to protect, then how are you serving if you're not honoring the concerns of your community that you're supposed to serve, right? So for a lot of people in the community have a negative response to seeing police uniforms, whether it's due to how police have shown up in the communities and intersections that people have taken a part of. But I think that was a big trigger for a lot of people. So it's important for them not to have that in the parade. Did they accomplish that? The following year, there wasn't any police in the parade. Are police still around? Of course, because their job, again, is to serve and protect. Do they necessarily need a float to be able to do their job? Not necessarily, because without a float or with a float, if you have men who are and women who are hired to stand around and serve the community and protect the community from any outside danger, then they're still doing their job, right? So in that way, they did manage to do something in that way. In terms of having a different kind of relationship and being able to have stages like Block Harama receive a different level of funding to be able to pay their performers better, that did happen, right? And would that necessarily have happened without BLM making it a thing that everybody now was able to see the problem? I don't know. I can't say. I'm not 100% sure because I don't know what the intentions necessarily had been of the people that were running Pride at that time. But at that particular moment, that wasn't happening, right?
Okay, I have a couple of questions, and then we're going to get off of the BLM because I understand where you stand in it. Now, for me, the police needs to be in Pride. The police needs to be in any social gatherings where there's so many people to where something might happen, no matter what might happen. We need visible police. People can't stand in a crowd and something is happening and they can't see someone that is the officer of the law, that they can see clearly that this is a policeman and he can help me. In plain clothes, you see no one. So in other words, if the police becomes invisible in Pride, that means our safety is invisible. This is a concern for me. Two, I do not understand the entire interruption of Pride staging a protest in a celebration. This is just my opinion. I think that it could have been handled differently and better. What I did find concerning after the fact, now BLM needs to be concerned about this. I watched City TV try to get an interview with BLM. They went to what they thought were offices and nothing existed. They couldn't knock on the door. They couldn't get a pamphlet. They couldn't get any information about this group and who was the leader of the group staging whatever the voice is that they wanted to be heard in Pride. And I found that really concerning. How is it that you want this big voice and you have no office?
Well, interestingly enough, I think police always have a presence, regardless. Even like they may not be plain clothes, but there are uniforms at every event, whether it's Caravana or whatever. Any big gathering, if police are present, you're aware that police are present.
That's a quick one. Let me interrupt you real quick there. You said it just now. Caravana. Why didn't Black Lives Matter interrupt Caravana where they don't want us there, where they don't want homosexuals, they don't want any of the rhetoric that or what our celebration or anything about us there? Why not target Caravana?
Well,
Why